Assalamu alaikum, people. Now, one question that I often get is, how can I improve my speaking of Arabic, right? And for me, being somebody that likes languages, and I've studied quite a few languages. One thing that really helped me was immersion, right? Being immersed in the language. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go to another country and go live there, because we don't all have that option, right? We have other things we got to do, right? Obviously that can help. If you can do it, then by all means go, right? But you can also create that environment within where you live. We have the internet, we have videos, we have things that you can put together to kind of create that environment artificially, right? So one thing I did when I was learning Italian, not Arabic, because for Arabic I just flew to an Arab country for like 9 months, to kind of give me some fluency. But what I did when I was learning Italian, okay, was I was just watching videos. And even initially when I started learning Arabic, I started watching videos initially, right? You watch videos. Now, depending on what type of videos you like, what type of films or what type of TV shows or what type of documentaries or whatever, right? It kind of doesn't really matter much, right? Because if you're interested in it enough, you'll be able to watch it a couple of times. Now, what you want to do is when you start watching the first time, is you want to take notes of, let's say, 10 words, right? If it's an hour long documentary or movie or series or whatever, take a note of 10, 15 words. Don't make it too vast in number, right? 10, 15 words, something like that. Take a note of them, right? Don't stop the movie as you're taking notes. Just kind of write them down and then keep watching, okay? Watch the movie, watch the documentary, whatever it is. When you're done with the first time, now take those words and look them up. Look them up. Make sure you understand the translation, and also if you're at that level where you can actually look at the same language dictionary. So if you look up Arabic, look at an Arabic dictionary and know what it's telling you and what the meaning is in Arabic, right? And if you don't know, then at the very least you should know the translation, right? Know the translation of those words and try to find some context for them. Use ChatGPT, ask it to give you context for these words, right? Get you some kind of background of those words. Once you're done with that, revisit the film. Now revisit the film, paying close attention to those words again, right? When you do that, you'll be able to look at the context and see, oh, okay, now that you understand, okay, this is in this context, you use this word and it gives you this meaning, right? Because sometimes the context can change the meaning of the word, right? And sometimes some words, right, are not appropriate for certain contexts, even if the meanings don't change, right? They're not appropriate for some words are not appropriate to say to a kid, or they're not appropriate to say in a formal setting. They need to be said in an informal setting, and the opposite as well, right? And sometimes it's something that one might say to somebody that you care about, right? As opposed to somebody that you're just formally working with, because it might mean something, it might be construed as something else. Okay, so whatever the case is, you need to understand the context in which these words are used, and not just know the meaning. You must understand the context. Okay, context is very important. That's how we as kids, when we're growing up, we understood how these words are being used, right? We looked at the context. Mom said this, dad said this, the teacher said this, they said it in this way, so I can use it in those ways, right? And as we grow up and we see other contexts, then we understand how vastly we can use those words, right? That's how native speakers grow up, right? Of any language, right? But as an adult now, you need to make sure that you are careful in order to try and understand those contexts as well through film, because films, the good thing about films is that they replicate life, right? Or at least they try to replicate life in terms of conversations and sense of situations, what have you. Yes, there are things that are artificial, but they try to imitate life, right? Art imitating life, right? So there's a lot of things that can be replicated, right? So use that for context, and then rewatch the movie again. You're paying attention to the context and how he's used. And if you like the movie enough, and I just like those Italian films that I watched, the old Italian films. I watched them good like 20 times, right? By the time I watch it like 20 times, and not necessarily consecutively, but I watch them maybe like 20 times each movie. By the time I've watched it 20 times, I've understood maybe like good 100 words, right? And I understand very well how, not only how to say it, but also the meaning, right? And the context in which I can use it, right? And the intonation, I can use it when I'm using in that context, right? And a lot of things that come in when you actually listen to native speakers say the word, right? So do that and then repeat it, rinse and repeat for other videos. By the time you do that for a year, your fluency should go up. Now, obviously, when you're learning those words, try to actually say them, right? Even if you're saying them to yourself, say them to yourself, pronounce them out loud, let yourself hear it, right? And if it's possible, then use them in conversation with some people as well, right? That will help you with your fluency in the language.